Change this.
Here we go. Here we are on Canada Laughs Channel 168. Mr. Ben Mulroney is going to go. Ben, this is for you. This is an ode to Ben Mulroney to start.
It's kind of a story.
Oh, it is a story.
Yeah, there's a pre-recorded intro. Can you press play on that? Here we go. Okay, here's a little intro. Welcome to the Todd Shapiro Masterpiece Theater of the Mind. Today we bring you a selection from the award-winning play about the life of Jason Brody called Hair Today, None Tomorrow. This song, which is thought to have clinched the Tony Award for the play in 2011, was from Act 3, Scene 2, where a young hairless Jason first meets his hair hero, Benedict Mulroney. Originally sung by Sir Elton John, we now hear a faithful rendition performed by the very beautiful Jeffrey and Roderick, better known as G&R. Bend the hair that
After all that.
We must restart this song.
Line.
Ben's got the hair that Jay's been looking for. When he styles it, it's so beautiful. What's the secret of his do? Does he use magic shampoo? Jay wishes that he could have hair like Ben Mulroney. Ben, you're always on TV here or there. Please let Jason run his fingers through your hair, just so he can know the feel of locks so thick and real. Jay would give all his money to have hair like Ben Mulroney.
Bravo, bravo. Mr. Ben Mulroney, please have a seat over there in the hot seat. You want to help him out, Ralphie? Wow. Welcome here to Canada Laughs Channel 168, the Todd Shapiro Show here on SiriusXM. And yes, it is true. We have him here for a second time.
How are you, buddy?
I'm fantastic. The anchor of Canada's #1 entertainment show, Etalk, of course, airing weeknights at 7 p.m. on CTV. The one and only Ben Mulroney. What's up?
Oh, what's up? Nothing. I mean, it's weekend time, right?
Yeah, it's party time.
Well, no. It's coaching soccer time for me.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben Mulroney, not much has changed since I've seen you, except for the fact that everybody's growing up in your world.
Yeah.
And 3 children, 2 twin boys, and I believe your daughter turns 2 in a week or so?
Exactly. She turns 2 on the 12th.
Wow. That's
Yeah. Now, what about you? Where are you at?
So I'm at 2 months to go, exactly.
2 months. And how you feeling?
I can tell you. Thanks for asking. Nervous.
Yeah. About what, though? About what?
Financials. I mean, it's. I'm always concerned. I want my kid to be able to go to private schools and have a better shot in life than I did.
Yeah. No. Yeah, because you've turned out so terribly. And right? Like
Sure.
when you get married, you don't just have like when you get married, your expenses don't just double; they triple. Right? Because it's not, you don't just have a woman and a husband or, 2 people in a marriage. It's 2 people. And then you also have to take care of the couple. So there's that like third level of expense that you don't expect.
Well, and that's part of it too, is my wife's going on mat leave, right?
Yeah.
So that salary gets cut in half a little bit, or maybe even more than half. And so how do you make up for that? But other than the financials, and that's a bit superficial, I mean, I think we'll be okay. And everyone adapts. Everyone always does.
But the fact that your mind is on it you're already ahead of the game. There are a lot of people who don't even think about it beforehand, and then they're hit with the cost. What do you mean diapers cost this much? It's a big cost. There are a lot of costs associated that you don't even expect. But the fact that you're already trying to wrap your head around it, you're ahead of the game.
Now, did you do what a lot of families do when as you're about to have babies, or you knew they were twins, right?
Yeah, we did.
So you knew. Did you go and call up all your buddies and family members and stuff and say, hey, do you have any leftover cribs, or do you have a play?
Oh God, yeah. Oh no, you rely on the kindness of strangers as much as you can. My sister had 4 kids before any of her siblings had any, so she had collected. She's a type A, like a serious type A. So she collected all of the clothes for both her sons and her daughters, and she was ready for anything. And so mercifully, she's still giving us stuff. Like, we're taking hand-me-downs from her even today, and we'll continue to do so because, they wear stuff for 3 weeks and then they grow out of it. So it goes into a bag until somebody else can wear it.
At what point do twins, and your twin boys are how old now?
They'll be 5 in August.
Wow. Yeah. At what point do they start sort of really wanting certain things that create their own identity?
If they ultimately get there, that's fine, but they're not there yet.
They're not there.
As a matter of fact, like, when we go buy them things, we have to, no matter what it is, shoes, toys at like in the Happy Meal, it doesn't matter. We have to get them the exact same thing, because if we get them something that's just slightly like the same thing but slightly tweaked, one of them will just make a decision that his is better, and the other will believe him. And there you go. Now you're screwed.
Wow.
Now you're screwed because there's no peace in the valley.
Is there any difference with when you started with the twins and now you have the little girls? Is it
it's easier.
Is it easier?
It's easier if you're gonna have lots of kids, have 2 off the bat.
Right away.
Because you don't know the difference.
Yeah.
You don't have any. You go from 0 to 1 or 0 to 2. You don't know the difference. You're exhausted no matter what. You're poor no matter what. And then when you have a third, you don't have to worry about middle child syndrome. They're used to sharing already, so when the third one comes in, they don't feel like their thunder has been stolen. And and then and you realize when you have one, oh, this is easier. So you get all these pluses that come with having twins first. The people who have one and then twins, I feel bad for them.
How were they when Ivy came along?
They loved it.
Yeah.
No, they loved it. Look, they've been having sleepovers every night of their lives. They sleep in the same room. They're best friends. So they have treats all the time. They know that she's the little girl in the family, and that's what makes her different. And they love being big brothers.
Okay, so listen, Ben, we're going to do a thing a little later in the program called the Carnivore Corner. And I'm going to get all into the family stuff and a little more serious stuff. But I figured, you know what, let's start it off a little lighthearted. Why not? Sure. Until we get too serious. All this pulp culture news, that's what you do, of course, on Etalk. And, you were here last year.
It feeds my soul.
It feeds your soul. Does it ever get to a point, though, where you're like, oh, my goodness, maybe I'm getting too old for this? Or do you still love it all?
Well, let me put it this way. We have producers on our show, fantastic producers on our show. Really, the best of the best come and they want to work at Etalk. And they a lot of them will intern for us first, and the best of that bunch are asked to come back and learn the ropes and eventually become producers on the show. A lot of kids that are much younger than I am, and I'll get a knock on my office door and they'll say, hey, Ben, we have a voiceover that we need you to do for a story that's going to be in the show today. And I'll say, okay, and I'll go into the voiceover booth, and it will be written as I tell them. It's like, do I look like a 14-year-old mall girl? Like a chick at the mall, like it's written in emoji, and I don't know what to do with the words on the page. I said, what do you see when you see me? Because I don't think we see the same thing. And I will not say. I won't say in a script. I won't say OMG. I won't say totes. I won't say my BFF. There's certain words that just don't sound good coming out of my voice, my mouth, And so in those moments, yes, I do suspect I'm too old for it. But then I realize we're still covering George Clooney, and he's over 50, and Jamie Foxx is 50, I think. I mean, you can have longevity in this business. It's a wide spectrum, exactly. So I ask myself the question quite often, more so than in the past. But I still like going to work.
Well, I mean, you're so good at what you do. And in fact, speaking of those terms, last time you were here, you taught me the term lumberjack chic. I didn't even know what that was.
But really, it's anything can be chic. Lumberjack chic. You can be, if heroin could be chic.
I guess. The biggest news of the week, and maybe honestly, probably the biggest pulp culture news ever, I would say. Bruce Jenner becoming Caitlyn Jenner.
Yes.
What are Ben Mulroney's thoughts on this whole wonderful transformation?
Well, I think has done a really great public service in sort of the realm of education. There are a lot of people who could not and still are wrapping their heads around the concept of the fluidity of gender. Rather the fluidity of sex. Sex is fluid, gender is not, and how one can be born with a particular sex, am I getting this right? Particular sex, but their or particular gender, but their sex does not match up. And we've been wrestling with it as well on our show about, well, if we're referencing Caitlyn in the past when she was Bruce, do we refer to her as Bruce? And there is a whole guide that's coming up about it. And so I think what's really interesting is between Laverne Cox on Orange is the New Black and now Caitlyn Jenner, the education of the public and the awareness that is growing in the public, I think, is happening at an accelerated pace. We are already talking about transgender rights in a much more mature way than we did. It took a lot longer to get to this point when referencing gay rights than it is in this case. This case, we seem to be. It might be social media. I don't know what's causing it. But it seems like the pace has accelerated. And for me, that's a good thing. I know that there are people out there who are still uncomfortable, and I don't think there's anything wrong. I don't think those people should be chastised. I think there are certain people who take a longer time to understand certain things and to come around to them. But I think people are coming around at a pretty fast clip on this one, and I think it's a sign of positive things.
Yeah, and I agree with you too. It's definitely the communication we now have because of the social media, and it brings everyone together. And I also agree with your sentiments, Ben, about how, it's okay that some people might take a little bit more time to adjust it. But what I don't agree with, and you must see this all the time, where people get so harsh on the social medias, on the Twitters, on the Facebooks, and will write like #disgusting to this going on. Don't they know that that their face is sort of public and it could affect them?
I have to assume that people who do that, it's like getting a neck tattoo. If you get a neck tattoo, you've decided you're never going to work in a bank. You don't want to work in a bank, so that's why. So you can get a neck tattoo. And these people have decided, if they are going to be that kind of way in social media, they've decided that their social growth is ending at a certain point, that they don't need to live in a broader world beyond whatever boundaries they're living in. And if that's fine with them, that's fine with me. If they don't want to experience the world beyond whatever bubble they're living in, then keep writing stuff like that, because you're not going to be invited out into the broader world. You're not going to meet people beyond the people who challenge you as far as they challenge you today. You're not going to grow as a person. You're not going to be asked to think really hard. You're just going to stay where you are. And if being stagnant is the way you want to live your life, well, we have social Darwinism for that. So you're going to die out at some point. You're going to be replaced by somebody who's thinking a little harder. Have you ever interviewed Bruce or now Kate? Well, obviously not Caitlyn yet, but I haven't interviewed Bruce Jenner. I've experienced that family the way everybody has, through the annoyance of their television show. but what truth seems to bubble to the top, no matter what, no matter how much spin you try to put on a story. And I think everyone seems to agree that Bruce Jenner was a marginalized person in his own life. He was quiet. He was in the background. He wanted to play with his electrical. I think he had helicopters and planes and all those things. And that's what made him happy. And even that stuff he wasn't allowed keeping around because his wife didn't want to let him have it. He didn't seem like somebody who was living a full life. Despite having everything at his disposal, and now you see what's going on, and she now seems like she is stepping into a spotlight and sort of living a more full life. I mean, it's still, it's still Kardashian-esque, and you can take issue with whether or not everything needs to be played out in front of the camera, but. I mean, you look at her face, she looks happy. Yeah. Can't deny that. And that's the most important part. Yeah. Also, I read an article today that she's now worth 5 times the amount that Bruce was. So that's entirely possible. I wouldn't. I read that too. I wouldn't necessarily trust that. I don't know the source of that. I think she's set herself up to make quite a bit of money. Bruce was already making quite a bit of money on the speaking circuit. But we're not talking millions. If he was making $40,000 a pop, of which a certain percentage was going to taxes and a certain percentage was going to his management, for the next while, she could be making, $100,000, $200,000 for select speeches. Wow, which is wonderful, great for her. Good for her, and good for giving back too, because I'm sure they'll be very motivational and inspiring speeches. Yeah, and I'm sure she's going to do a lot of them for free too. I think if she set herself up as somebody who wants to be a role model, then you got to give back to the community that you're trying to shepherd. Let's hope for sure. Do you think the Kardashians are bigger than royalty in terms of global perspective of this family? And you cover both. No, they're huge, and I think they have done the nearly impossible, which is to stay overexposed for an extended period of time. And we're talking about Chris. You know how we talk about Chris Pratt these days, and if he plays Indiana Jones, that's it. He's going to be Shia LaBeouf. We're just going to hate him all of a sudden because that's just too much Chris Pratt. Yeah. So, and we're talking about a period of 1.5 years, 2 years between going from everybody loves you to nobody can stand you. If you don't play that right, if you don't walk that line in the proper way, this entire family has been overexposed for the better part of a decade, and it doesn't seem like the appetite for them has abated in any way. That being said, nobody would wait outside a hospital to see when Kim's next baby comes the way that people would for the royal baby. In any way. Nobody would. Nobody cares that much about it. They care to learn about it on Twitter and be the first to retweet it, but nobody's going to wait outside to see if it's a boy or it's a girl and what are they going to name it. So the royal family is a combination of sort of celebrity, tradition, tragedy. They have a big role to play in social justice and charity around the world. The implications of a royal birth resonate around the world. They're not playing in the same leagues.
I'm glad you clarified that because I wasn't sure actually. I mean, I'm not so intertwined and kind of in this world of what makes sort of the news that you'll see on Etalk every night. Jay, safe to say though, right, that maybe people might wait outside of a hospital if Kanye ever went in there and they might not want him to come out.
Well, I don't know, Ben. I'm a huge Baby Easy fan. Team Baby Easy, #Baby Easy. So
I heard a rumor that there might be twins in the offing here for Kim and Kanye.
It looks like that.
That's right. I'm sure they love that story. I don't know if you can know you can know at 3 months.
Kanye, this guy also manages to love him or hate him. He's always so relevant. How much of this is, I know your wife's involved in PR and stuff. How much of all this is really calculated?
I think it's what makes him tick. I mean, I think he's always been this guy. I think the fact that sort of he fell in love with a woman who does PR and self-promotion better than anyone, it helps fuel whatever is fire he has. But I think his fire comes from a genuine place. I think, he might be misunderstood, but I think he's got the heart of an artist. I think that's what he wants to do is create, and I think the world that he's chosen to do it in allows him to be a little pompous, a little rude, a little bit hypocritical. He can say one thing on Monday and the opposite on Tuesday.
What a world!
But I don't think that he is playing any sort of game with it. I think he would be the exact same type of person with no microphone on and with no cameras following him. And he would still make music.
True to himself. He whatever he thinks, he's genuine. Kanye West.
I think so. I think so.
Good for him. A lot of people would love to be able to kind of be that way. Money obviously helps, and I know back to Caitlyn Jenner. Snoop Dogg puts out this thing where it's like a science experiment, and I was really shocked that he had done that.
Well, think about how long it took him to apologize for all of the sort of sexist and misogynistic comments he made over the years. I think he wrote a letter last week, an open letter, or gave an interview or something where he said something like, I have a daughter, and I realize now he's had a daughter for a long time. Yeah. I don't know what it was about his daughter being this particular age, because I think, what is he, 50, almost 50?
He's an old man.
He's an older gentleman. And so, I read a story by one of the former Much Music VJs who was interviewed by him years ago, and he was, according to her, he was terribly sexist in his attitudes and answers towards her, and so I'm not surprised that he's one of these people that we're talking about who's behind the curve on things, but nobody has ever looked to Snoop for elevated, enlightened thought. It's like when somebody from Duck Dynasty champions the traditional definition of marriage. Why would anyone be surprised by that? Why would anyone be surprised that we that the Duggars have a different take on the molestation allegations against their son Josh versus Caitlyn? This is that's why they're on TV, because they are they color outside the traditional lines. People like that about that type of television. And so Snoop was never the guy we looked to for the right thing. So why are we surprised when he says the wrong one?
So as a parent, Ben Mulroney, and obviously as a host in this entertainment world, at what point do you start telling your children, hey, when you see this stuff, because it's not like it's triple X stuff. It's not like it's stuff that's in the everyday news that anyone can pull up at some point when you go and start using the internet. At what point do you say, maybe we shouldn't support these artists? Or should we? Should we just like Snoop for his music and not? Yeah.
What's Snoop doing these days that needs support? Like, he just did the Justin Bieber roast. That pretty much tells you that he's not he's not he's not at the top of the food chain when it comes to success in hip hop these days. He'd be an elder statesman in that world who sort of they pull out to wave to the crowds and they send him back in when the big guy before the big guns come out and perform. So he's I don't think he needs a lot of supporting these days. I don't think he's got a lot of projects that require us to get out, pull out our wallets and pay.
And nor might he not care anyway.
Yeah, I do believe in voting with your wallet, like in this whole Uber versus taxi thing. I think you should let the public decide. But it's a good question. For me, it's just my personal compass. I get a sense about whether something makes me feel icky or not, and then I vote accordingly with my wallet.
Drake, are you amazed because you've interviewed everyone from Brad Pitt to whoever?
Can we have a moment of silence for the passing of Degrassi? Because it was canceled.
I didn't really know. We just had Sarah Fisher on the show the other day.
After 14 seasons.
Oh.
But when you think about it, this is the fourth time the show's been canceled because it keeps coming back in a new version. So I wouldn't be surprised if a year from now it was reinvented as something completely different with a new. Think about it. It's Kids of Degrassi Street, and then it was Degrassi Junior High, then Degrassi High, then Degrassi The Next Generation. Then they called it Degrassi TNG because that was the cool thing.
Now Degrassi Transformers.
Yeah,
they're actually all Transformers.
No one at the network wants to hear my Degrassi Senior Citizens home pitch, but I think I got something there. I really believe I have it.
So a moment of silence to Degrassi, and wow, the success of Drake recently. He did a wonderful concert here in Toronto. I think he's out in Montreal in the next couple of days. And he just really appreciates everything that this country has given him. Does that surprise you?
No, I like that he's had the success that he's had while maintaining his roots. I think, the big study was done years ago. I think it was either the CBC or one of the networks was commissioning a study to say, where should we set, when we do a dramatic show or a comedy, where should we set our show? And they asked an American firm to come and do this study for them. And the conclusion was like, why are you even doing this study? So we in the United States have a show called The Drew Carey Show set in goddamn Cleveland. Like, there's nothing sexy about Cleveland. There's also nothing sexy about Drew Carey or anyone on this show. Like, why do you care that it has to be set in a place that is sexy? The story has to be good. And I say that because it always surprises me that we in this city, one of the most interesting in the city, still can't believe it when somebody doesn't forsake their roots. He's a guy who looks at this place that gave him his start, that gave him his abilities, that gave him, he came from this is where his mother is, this is where his friends are, this is where his success started. Why wouldn't he want to stay here? And why wouldn't he want this place to be a part of his success? So I always shake my head. We've got this weird thing about us where we want Toronto to be this world-class city, and then we can't believe it when somebody wants to show their love for this supposedly world-class city.
And when they're that famous, because he is undoubtedly the top 3 or 4 most famous musicians right now. It's he is huge, Drake. It's wild, and it is beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to see. Now, the other thing I find, and I'm not sure if you've noticed this, is that Canadians, for some reason, when they give back the love to these performers or artists or up and coming actors, whatever it may be, and you interview a ton of them on Etalk, it's almost like they don't love them either until they've made it into the United States. Do you encounter that a lot?
Well, I think that has been true in the past. I think a lot of the biggest Canadian stars didn't become big until they left Canada, and then they'd come back and give back. I don't think that's necessarily true anymore. You looked at who hosted the Junos last year. Hedley has not. Tragically, Hip is tattooed on just walk through Liberty Village. I guarantee you could ask people to name their favorite 10 Canadian songs or 10 songs, and there would be a Tragically Hip song on that list. You don't have to have made it in the United States. I think there's a way to be successful within Canada and get the love on the streets that a lot of Canadian stars used to only get if they had broken in the United States. I think it's possible to be successful here and be loved here without having to leave here.
When Ben Mulroney travels across Canada, do you get a lot of love and fanfare? Really? Because you're a Canadian figure. You're a big figure.
Let me put it: the smaller the town, the bigger I am. I'm big in Regina.
You're huge.
I'm big in Regina.
Do you just tell the team over at Etalk sometimes, Ben, and go, guys, when are we doing that little bus tour around small towns out in Alberta?
Yeah. It's called the Stroke My Ego tour. Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
No, but everyone's
I think we got to try.
Yeah, we've got I find listen, the real world is not like the world of social media. The world of social media is where people go to, I don't know why they do it, but they go to vent and unload, and that's fine by me because I like taking it on. If somebody wants to give me crap, I'll give it right back.
You told us this last time you heard, remember?
But the people in the real world that actually interact with human beings, even if they have something negative on their mind, they're not going to go out of their way to share it. It's not. People don't want to put poison out into the world. They'll figure out a way. They'll drink that away. But which means most of the time when a stranger comes up to me, and when I say most of the time, I mean 98% of the time, it's to say something positive, and that's a wonderful thing. I mean, to be stopped on the street by a stranger who tells you you're doing a good job. People who work in cubicles don't get that. So it's a heck of a thing that I'm not really looking to trade in.
I think it's a great thing, and I'm glad that people give back to Ben Mulroney, who put smiles on people's faces after a long, hard day of work. They come home and they see some news, and it's fun for them.
It's a fun show.
It's an easygoing, fun show.
We try to talk to our fans the way we think our fans talk to each other. You know, it's we don't take it too seriously. Most of the things we talk about, we'd say with a smile on our face. Not every tragedy in Hollywood is an actual tragedy and deserves that quiet piano music in the background. Sometimes it's that Hollywood starlet screwed up. Lindsay Lohan, watching her circle the drain is fun to me. I am not a misanthrope. I do not prey on people's misery, but there's something about that chick, man. Whenever she gets in trouble with the law, my heart smiles a little bit. I don't know what to tell you.
It's very hard to feel bad for multimillionaires who could have made so many right decisions in their life.
No, I also, and actually I think you hit the nail on the head. I think when somebody has all of the resources of the world at their disposal and that switch hasn't gone off in their head that they really should take that help. If you're not going to help yourself, then I'm going to laugh.
Did you see the Entourage movie yet?
I have not seen it yet. I will see it eventually. I got to go out and get myself some Axe body spray first. Drink a Bud Light Lime.
All the integrated content.
All that stuff. But no, I will say. I don't remember I think when midway when the movie had peaked or when the show had peaked in popularity, everybody was hoping for a big screen version, and then it started going downhill, and fewer people wanted the movie. But I think Wahlberg wanted it more and more and more, and Mark Wahlberg gets what Mark Wahlberg wants, so we have to watch this movie.
I've seen it. Yeah. I saw the screening. It's a very good movie.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fun.
They put it together like the show. It's not that's if you ever do a binge watching and you watch all season 5 all together, it's kind of like watching the movie. They do a good job. Do you like the show? Did you like the show?
I loved watching it. I think I saw every episode. I was actually at the Golden Globes when they cleared the carpet so that they could get that shot of those guys, that tracking shot of them on the red carpet. They shot it very low, so you couldn't see that it wasn't during the actual red carpet. But that was kind of fun to watch.
So there's a scene of them in the movie where they're at the Golden Globes. And you were there. Wow. So you saw. Yeah,
I saw them shoot that. Yeah, it was fun.
And that's very cool too. You didn't make the movie.
Oh darn.
Would you relate to any of the characters there? Has anyone ever asked you this dumb question? If you were like a drama, an E, a Turtle, a Vinny Chase,
question.
Or an Ari Gold, maybe, or a Lloyd, or?
I think there'd have to be a little bit of everybody in that. I don't. I'm a terrible actor, so in that I'm just like Vinny. I'm a little bit neurotic. I was chubby. I lost a little weight, so I got a little turtle in me. I'm a terrible actor, so as I said, but a really bad actor, so I guess I could be drama.
Drama, too.
and I like nice suits, so I could be Piven's character.
There you go, yeah. Ari Gold. Do you like to cook? Because you could be like drama that way. Are you
I do like to cook, but my wife won't let me in the kitchen too much because I really tend to slice my fingers up pretty damn bad.
Oh, no. Yeah. You're like Enrique. I saw that thing where Enrique grabbed the drone and he almost lost his fingers.
Why did he do that?
Oh, I would look cool, right?
Celebrities do the dumbest things. Sure, it's got 4 rotors. I'll just stick my hand in it. What the hell? But good on him for continuing.
He's all man. He's a game 7er.
I would not have done that. I would have mic drop and get me out of here.
I would have freaked out too.
I would pour some tequila on it, gotten on the plane, went home.
For all the things that you've seen in Hollywood, here in Toronto, when you travel to New York, was it cool to see the Suicide Squad set being filmed in Toronto?
Oh, God, yes. I love that. And, we have a really good relationship with Warner Brothers, and so we wanted them to see that we were going to keep this. I don't think there's ever been a movie that's been shot in a major city like the size of Toronto that has gotten the attention from a show as much as Suicide Squad has gotten the attention of Etalk. I have to believe that if you did a study, a quick little poll, more people in Canada would know that Suicide Squad existed than would know about like Jurassic World or something like that at this point, because we talk about it nearly every single day. And I have said it before. I honestly think, given how warmly embraced that production has been by the people of Toronto. I mean, we complain about a lot of stuff in the city. We complain about traffic all the time, and they've closed down some streets because of it. Nobody seems to be complaining about the street closures due to Suicide Squad. They love it. Oh, I'll be late for work today because Will Smith is on the streets, and so people love it, right? So I say this because I honestly believe that the people in LA should take note of that, and I really hope that they give serious consideration to allowing Toronto to host the world premiere of this film.
Interesting.
I'm not talking about a screening.
Give us the world premiere, that first red carpet.
It shouldn't be in New York. It shouldn't be in LA. It shouldn't be in London. It should be in Toronto. Toronto is Metro City. It's been standing in for it. There is no other Metro City. It is Toronto. This is where it should all happen. And could you imagine what that red carpet would look like? Because not only would you have all the members of the Suicide Squad, but all the members of all the other movies that they will eventually be doing. All the Justice League actors would be asked to walk it. So Batman would be here, Superman, Aquaman. They'd all be here for that. And you could do the junket as part of it, bring all the world's press here. It would be a nice little thank you to the city. Do it down at the Yonge Dundas Square where they've shot so much of that stuff. I think it would be a really nice way to say thank you to the city for everything that they've done for the production.
And Ben Mulroney should be the host.
I would host that red carpet in a heartbeat. Yeah. Absolutely. Sure, I would.
And I think you're onto something, too. Anytime now there's a road closure anywhere in Canada, whether it's a DVP or some main highway out in your way, they should just dress up and have some superheroes running around. And
Sure. We're shooting a movie.
Exactly.
Okay.
They're just fixing potholes. I was like, I saw Batman.
Yeah,
It's amazing. It's a good idea. All these models are making it these days. Who's this Cara Delevingne? How do you say her
name? Cara
Delevingne. Delevingne, yeah. She's mad because she's in the movie, I know, but she's massive, isn't she?
I think the story is that she started out as a singer and an actress, and then somebody said, you should model. And she's got that smoldering thing that she's like the next generation's Kate Moss. She's got that look that is sort of I think she can be on runways, but she's also looks really good in pictures, but she's always been more than just a model. And she's got a movie coming out this summer called, I want to say, Paper Town.
Very cutesy kind of movie. I think I've seen the trailer.
Yeah,
right?
But it looks like a sort of fairly serious teen story based on a wildly popular book, and she looks really good in it. From what I've seen, I was actually impressed with her ability to do an American accent, B, just to carry what looked like carrying a film, and now she's going to be. I don't know what character she plays in Suicide Squad, but she's going to be in that. And I met her on a carpet once because I'd never really understood why people were so taken aback by her.
This allure that she has.
But she's one of those people that's quite magnetic. On a carpet, I talked to her for about a minute, and I was like, okay, now I get it. She's, you would track her in a room. She's one of those, I think we call people a star because a star in astronomy has its own gravity, right? And which means you're drawn to it. And I think we are drawn to certain people. Angelina Jolie is one of the biggest stars in the world. You just see how many people are drawn to that woman. And Cara Delevingne is a star in that, you can't take your eyes off of her. She's a compelling person. She's interesting. And I think that gravity is going to get stronger.
Hey, I'm Jay Brody. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a comment. We read the best ones on the air.